Hello, Peter. Really appreciate you taking time out of your day to join me here for this interview. How are you doing?
I am pretty good. I can't say I've ever done an interview before, so yeah, this is a first.
Cool. Hopefully, you'll feel comfortable during this. The reason I invited you on is because I saw a win from you in the copywriting campus. Could you explain what that was about?
Well, over the last, I would say, 8 days from the start of February, I have had three wins, slightly over 4K. So yeah, those came from a website rewrite, and then two email sequences.
Okay. That's a very cool accomplishment. 4.3K in 8 days, to be exact. Uh, how did things begin for you? How much copywriting experience did you actually have before joining the real world?
I had zero experience. I joined the real world probably about 6 months ago, somewhere in around then. I came in with no experience, and honestly, probably like a lot of the other people who are in the campus, I had my doubts before joining. I was like, is this legit? Is it not? And then I seen a video, and it was Tate saying like, "This is the price of lunch. Lunch. I'm not gonna scam you out of lunch. Just what's the worst that could happen?" And after I seen that video, I was like, right, okay, I'll go. What's the worst that could happen? I was hungry to learn a way to make money, so I was just working a pretty dead end job. So I joined. The copywriting campus took my eye because it was low time, or apologies, it was low money investment. But if you had a lot of time, that was the campus for you. And I was like, right, I don't have a lot to invest. I can't hop into crypto at the minute, but I can hop into copywriting. So I started doing that. And then the funny thing is, it took me about 5 months before I started seeing any real success. And then after that, it kind of just skyrocketed. I mean, it went from just over 1K in December, under 2K in January, and now to 4.3K in 8 days in February.
Mhm. How many hours were you putting in during those 5 months? Why do you think it took you that amount of time? Because for some people, for some people I've interviewed, they've got it within a few weeks or in a month. So, what was your situation there?
My situation, honestly, was commitment wise, I just didn't have that amount of time. And again, when it comes to copywriting and learning a new skill, I struggled with, okay, I'm putting in time here, but I'm not getting anything back for the first while. And that's going to be natural with any skill that anyone really chooses to learn. So I nearly quit like twice. I would take a week break. I would come back. I'd be like, okay, maybe I'll try this again. And eventually, around, I would say November, just before I started making money, I that's when I took it serious. So I mean, if people are going to take it serious from day one, I've seen guys go in there and within 6 weeks they've made 2K.
Mhm. And what does your average day look like now compared to before you joined the real world?
So before it was either work or school. I was still actually in school, and yeah, university just wasn't for me. I seen everyone else going off, and even my parents, like a lot of the guys in there, they're getting pressured by, family or friends to go to uni, to party, to live that type of lifestyle. But for me, I looked around, I seen it, even a lot of local business owners that are very successful, say doing 1, 2 million a year. And I realized that most of them did not go to university or college if you're American. Most of them got out and got real world experience. they learned a high income skill and they added value to marketplace and then blew up over 10, 15 years owning a business. But again, for me, that was a wee bit of a challenge because I didn't know, okay, where do I go from here? I want to do this. I want to one day own a business, be financially free, live the type of lifestyle that you see, people like Tate living. And the only problem was I didn't know the steps to take. It was just the plan that I didn't have. So the real world, after I joined that, it gave me that plan. And then now my day, I would say I wake up at about 6:30. I work out for the first hour. If it if I've been going hard for a few days, I'll go for a walk instead in the morning or, read or whatever. But most of the time it's workout. After I work out, it's shower and then straight into copywriting. Andrew lays it out in the campus, and Chief, an old apprentice, said the exact same thing in terms of, it's good to get your deep work done first thing in the morning, early in the morning, knock it out 2 or 3 hours. So that's what I do. And then the rest of my day is kind of filled with like things like prospecting or replying to emails or work that doesn't really take a lot of brain power. So yeah, I would say deep work for the first 4 hours of the day, 3 to 4 hours. After that, I take my first meal, breakfast, at around 10, 11, 12. And then the rest of my day is filled with doing stuff that don't take as much brain power. And then in the evenings, I do have training, either MMA or football.
Mm-hmm. What would you say to people who would call that excessive? Because it seems like you're working and working out. So working financially and then working out your body, just day in and day out. So what's your perspective there?
Yeah, I was actually speaking to an apprentice, Nikolai, who you've had on. I watched his interview. It's an amazing one. And I was talking to him over his emails about the excessive, working, sleeping, training, and that's it. And he was giving me some advice like, yo, man, you need to get out there, go on some adventures, because it'll actually improve your work. But yeah, as of now, I mean, when you're working and you're seeing crazy, crazy results, then it's just fuel. There is no motivation. There's no, you know, struggling to get out of bed in the morning or things like that. It's go, go, go because you're seeing the results right away. After, for me, after my 5 months of work, I'm in the stage now where I'm seeing results essentially once a week or every few days. So that's just inspiring. And then on top of that, of course, you have client deadlines. Work has to be in on time, and if you take the work on, you have to honor your word, and you have to fulfill it by the deadline. So yeah, that's definitely a big part of why I keep going, because I know that, right, this project needs to be done by then.
Mm-hmm. Right. Now, going more into the real world, how different would you say the material is compared to what you can find outside of the platform?
Well, I, for one, after I joined the real world and started digesting all the information and learning a lot more, I decided to go and scour the internet to see if I could find anything else that would help me on my journey. And after I browsed, I mean, Reddit, some courses which I may or may not have got for free, and a few other things. I mean, the information, it's they give you the information in parts. You might get a wee bit here, a wee bit there, but there's not a clear plan. With the real world, it's like, okay, specifically in the copywriting campus, it's send out your 20, 30, 40 outreaches a day, write your free value, practice 1 hour of copy, and the list goes on. And essentially that boils down to, right, every day you know exactly what to do. It's being exactly laid out for you. You've learned it in the, even things like learning it in the right order. I mean, Andrew, our professor, he's absolutely incredible. And I mean, as a verified millionaire and a world-class copywriter, he lays it out exactly in the way that he would do it if he was starting again. And then on top of all of that, which is, you know, the plan and the content, you also get the mindset. There's so many small, valuable things that Andrew shared with the campus and that people are discussing every day that, okay, without those little key bits of information, I wouldn't have had the success I've had in terms of, you know, your time management, discipline, the way to handle clients, sales, how to keep yourself motivated, how to trigger energy. All these things are talked about in detail. So that's helped big time.
Mm-hmm. And has the community had any kind of impact on you? I know you did mention you've been in touch with Nikolai. Was there anything else?
Yeah, I mean, the community has been massive. I have DM'd Chris Jones before. He's helped me big time, and I've spoke to him on the chats. I also have DM'd Chief, and I talk with him on occasion, and he's helped me out big time. Also, in terms of the community, having people around you to constantly review and critique your work and offer their insights, and then even in simple things. I mean, the other day I had a situation with one of my clients' email lists, and all I had to do was open up the real world, go into the experience chat. I typed it in, and within 5 minutes, I got an answer, and it was exactly what I needed. So that type of community and those resources, if you use them properly, it's 100% going to skyrocket you.
Mm-hmm. And what about the Wins channel? Did that have any kind of effect?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the Wins channel, like Chris Jones said in his interview, that was my fuel every day for 2, 3, 4 months when I was getting going. And, you know, I wasn't as committed. Of course, I wasn't. And then I would go to the Wins channel and I would take a look and just see, okay, this guy's just made 2K, 3K. You know, there's people making 500, 600 every week. And even some of the apprentices like Jacob was a big one, and Chief and stuff like that. And you just see, okay, they're pulling in wins of 5, 6K at a time, or they've retainers for 10K a month. And it's I think for me, it really opened the door on what's possible. Because when you're like me in a small town, in a small country, and the only way people are ever successful is becoming a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, and that's years and years of school, or, you know, yeah, there's successful business owners, but they've been doing it for 10, 20 years. To take a look at the Wins channel and realize that there's people who started 2 months ago who are making a full-time income. And not only that, there's apprentices and others making 10, 20K a month. When you start to realize that that's possible after 1 year with no prior experience, it really opens your mind up to, yeah, I can do this. I can out earn doctors and lawyers if I just go and I put the work in and I follow the steps. And the Wins channel was massive in that.
Mm-hmm. And with what you're saying, what you see inside of the real world, it really is changing people's lives as you're seeing yourself. So why do you think the real world is being banned everywhere and there's such a negative light on it?
Um, Honestly, that one I don't really get because yes, I mean there was very weak arguments against Tate's cancellation, but it is what it is. In terms of the real world, it just didn't make sense to me because there's absolutely nothing in there negative going on. I mean, it's a community where people are gathered together to learn, to make money, to have an affordable way, because it's only $50 a month, have an affordable way to learn high income skills. And when I see firsthand that, yeah, there's people in experience chat who are making insane money, like even if you step out of copywriting into e-commerce or crypto or whatever, there's guys pulling in real crazy money. And to me, it doesn't make sense because all it's doing is trying to help people not only make money, but, become the best version of themselves. So to see it getting cancelled and, the constant negativity and the bad press and everything, as someone who's in there, it just doesn't make sense. Honestly, it just seems like they're trying to take it down for no reason because they don't want young men or women who are strong, financially independent, breaking the mold in the system in terms of, yeah, you can do this for a year and be making way more than you could if you followed traditional education. So
Mhm.
it seems like they're threatened.
So just to clarify for the listener, since they might not really understand the full scope of all the cancellation that's happening,
Yeah.
what has been your experience within the real world? How has it affected you, those cancellations?
Well, what people on the outside may not know is that domains and access to the real world was being shut down. So, and not only once, multiple times. So, as someone who needed to go and maybe review a piece of information from the campus to help with a client or ask questions or whatever, anytime I would try to access the real world, the domains were shut down. And then eventually what happened is we got an email, everyone in the real world got an email like, okay, you know, they're shutting our domains down basically. We're gonna keep this going. We're gonna keep this up. So we've made a new one and the link to the new domain was there. So then I went on that and not 2 days later, maybe a day later, that domain was shut down too. And then it was like, right, people really don't want us learning how to make money. So once that domain was shut down, I mean, the real world team were incredible at getting on it. It was within 3 to 4 hours, there was a new domain and a new link up. And then from that link, so far, we've been okay.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting how that happened during Tate's arrest as well, the domain
Yeah.
shutdown.
Yeah, it seemed like it was all planned at once. Just silence everyone, silence, the people trying to make money, silence Tate, and just pretend it never happened.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, going back into the real world, what would you say was the biggest mistake you made when first starting out with copywriting, or the biggest challenge you faced?
The biggest thing that I struggled with, and something that I see some newer people in the real world struggle with, is belief. Belief in terms of believing that you can become financially free online. Now, I 6 months ago was working a regular job in a regular, yeah, I was working a regular job. I lived a normal life. And now 6 months later, I've made 4.3K in a week. That type of acceleration in income, that has been conditioned into people necessarily that, not necessarily that it's impossible, but that it's extremely difficult. So to go from, regular 9 to 5 to 4.3K in 1 week within 6 months, that's unheard of in the outside world. And the real world has been able to give me that. But without the belief and without realizing that, yeah, this is possible, if I put the work in, this will happen. And without that belief, it never would have came true, because I never would have done the work to make it come true. And then again, going back to the wins channel, seeing other people make big money and, land these huge retainer deals and go from nothing to 10K a month, then when you see that, you realize that it is possible if you just follow the steps.
Mm-hmm. And now, what would you say have been the three biggest lessons you've learned from your time in the real world? It can be just overall, doesn't have to be copywriting related.
So the first lesson, and probably one of the biggest I've learned, is the importance of a network. When you're in the real world and you have access to, thousands of other people in the same mission as you, that type of network's invaluable. I mean, I've learned that being able to tap into resources that, you may not have right now, but someone who's been in your position 6 months ago is sitting in the chats with you, and you can be like, okay, I'm struggling with scaling my client. I want to get him on a retainer deal, and I'm struggling with that right now. Having someone who can just come in and lay out essentially exactly what you need to do, that that has been really, really valuable. I would say the second biggest lesson was that, and this ties again back to the belief, but I think it's so important because of the amount of conditioning that I've been exposed to anyway, in terms of that it's difficult to make money. It's not. It really isn't. If you're willing to do work, if you're disciplined, and if you can put your head down for 6 months to a year in the right thing, in the right business model, making money is not difficult at all. It really, really isn't. Granted, you do, like I said, you do have to be disciplined. You do have to put in the work. But if you're willing to do that, making money is not, it's not difficult. And the third thing, it would probably be, and this isn't really related to copywriting or finances, but it would probably be learning to avoid a lot of the traps of modern society. So learning the real dangers of things like, wasting away your time scrolling on social media, porn, drugs, alcohol, all these negative things. In the real world, I have learned, and Andrew actually has a power up call too on this, that he only released maybe 2 or 3 days ago. It's called Life Force Traps and How to Avoid Them. And I'd recommend anyone to go and watch that. It's free to watch. You don't have to be in the real world. You just go to Rumble, Andrew Bass, and type in Morning Power Up. And within that, he details how all these little things in your life, like cheap dopamine through fast food, through porn, through drugs, through mindless social media scrolling, all these things eat away at you and eat away at your ability to focus, your ability to be disciplined, your productivity. And I noticed anyway, when I became more aware of, yeah, scrolling for 2 hours on TikTok isn't good. And that was a while ago now. I'm a bit further on in my journey than that. But when I realized, the real effects of a lot of the modern day crutches of living, then my productivity skyrocketed, my energy levels skyrocketed, my mood improved massively. I was more motivated. Everything in my life, my relationships even got better. But that's because I have more energy. I was feeling better. I was doing the right things, and I was never the type of person that would go and get caught up in all the wrong things like drinking and all that stuff and partying. That hasn't been me for a while, but definitely, regardless of all of that, being able to go and become more conscious of what I'm giving my energy to and how I'm living, and just my mindset around things has been incredible for my mood, my energy, everything, discipline.
Mm-hmm. And now that you're on this trajectory, where do you see your life heading in 6 months to a year?
Oh, it's been crazy. I don't even know if I can paint the next 6 months. Yeah, so far in February, it's been 4.3K. By the end of February, I want to probably hit 8. I want to probably do 8K in February. March, I would like to do 10 and just keep it going up. I mean, only yesterday I was on a sales call and I got made a very interesting offer. Actually, it wasn't a sales call, it was a client call. And I got made an interesting offer. And she basically said to me, like, if you will come out and take on a more serious role at my company. And she was offering an undisclosed fee that was much, much higher than 10K a month. And I have to think about that now. But opportunities like that I couldn't have even imagined 6 months ago. And now to ask me where I'm going to be in 6 months or a year, yeah, sure, I can say I want to scale this to six figures. It will be a six-figure business probably by summer. But beyond that, man, I have no idea if I'm going to go down the agency route, if I'm going to go down the brand ownership route, or what I'm going to do. But yeah, either way, I've learned a lot from the real world, and yeah, I'll hopefully make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. I love to hear that.
Mm.
Now, what kind of an impact would you say Tay has had on you, if any?
Me. Yes. It has made me realize the importance of being a man. And nowadays, in this day and age, you see what the West is trying to do to feminize men. There's a serious lack of strong masculine role models and people for young men to look up to and realize, okay, I don't want to dress up like a little girl. I don't want to act in a certain way that's being very much promoted these days. I don't want to do that. I want to work out. I want to go to a fight gym. I want to earn money. I want to live that type of a highly competitive masculine life. And Tate's made me realize that is, again, he showed me that, yeah, that's very possible, and that the only way you're going to be happy is if you do struggle, if you do the hard work, and carve out your own success, because yeah, I can sit and talk to you about the money I've made so far, and the offers I have and the success that I know I will have in the future. But that came with late nights and early mornings. I mean, there was, like I said, there was days I was up at 6, half 6, and on actually an example I can think of now is on New Year's Eve when everyone else was out drinking, everyone else was out with their families and friends. It was me and my girlfriend in my home here, and I stopped work at around 11:30 and basically fell asleep before 12 o'clock because I'd woken up that morning. I had a deadline to meet, I had some projects due, and I worked 13, 14 hours straight. So realizing that, yeah, it's not going to be easy, but if you do the hard work, if you build yourself into the type of competent, wise, financially free man, that is the only experience worth living as a man. And Tate's been massive in helping me realize that.
Beautiful answer. And something I should have asked earlier. Have you noticed what difference have you noticed with how the real world is now compared to what HU used to be?
Yeah, so I was actually in HU for about 3 to 4 months before we transitioned over to the real world. And yeah, the differences are quite big. In the real world, I would say, with it being completely independent from Discord, when there is issues like domain attacks and cancellations, the dev team can get on that right away and they can sort that out. I mean, I don't know what would have happened if Discord decided to suddenly delete our servers, because then, okay, there's no such thing as just going back up to Discord and saying, can we have our servers back? Because they wouldn't do that. So there's the element of safety, because that, yeah, no matter if these domains get taken down again, the dev team are going to be straight on it. We're going to get it up and running again. And no matter what, I have access to this information and it's not going to be taken away from me. As well as, of course, more user friendly. I'm not too sure about the other campuses, but as for the copywriting campus, Andrew was able to share more advanced stuff with us that he couldn't have shared in Discord for fear of cancellations or platforms being taken down. So with the real world, Andrew shares much more advanced insights and much more advanced techniques that maybe couldn't have with Discord. So yeah, that's been a big thing.
Yeah. And now before we end off, what kind of advice would you have to people while considering joining the real world?
Absolutely join, without a doubt. If you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to listen, like Tate says, if you're not rich, you're either lazy, stupid, or arrogant. And most people aren't lazy or stupid. It falls down to arrogance. It's arrogance of, what would I need that for? It's $50 a month. I can just learn it myself on YouTube or whatever their excuse is, realizing that no, that actually is a wee bit of arrogance, because if you were in the course and you picked your campus and you followed it and you followed what the professors were saying down to a T, then if you do that, you will be successful. But if you're arrogant and you think that, I don't need this, or I don't need to listen to the professors, or I can figure it out better on my own, like, no, just join, but be prepared to listen, be prepared to do the hard work, and yeah, execute.
Great. And for people who want to find out more about you or contact you, why can they do so?
Yeah, I have Twitter and Instagram. To be honest, I deleted all my social medias, so this Instagram is fairly recent, and the Twitter I don't really use that much, but I assume they'll be linked down below.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just check that out.
Oh,
Peter, and then Lucas, Lucasc. So Lucas C. So it's Peter Lucas C. That's my Instagram handle. And my Twitter handle is I don't even know it, man. Peter Campbell 10 or something. I have no idea.
okay. I'll have a look down below.
Yeah.
All right, Peter, again, thank you for your time. And I look forward to doing a follow-up interview once you've scaled your copywriting career. Let's call it that.
Yeah, thank you. I look forward to it.
All the best to you, and until next time.
You too. Thanks for your time, man.